And hello everyone once more. This is getting to be ridiculous. I'll wait for everybody to jump on. Anybody there? 1, 2, 3. Oh, here comes everybody. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Craig's Catfish, Empire of Dirt, Jeff Kane, Red. Okay. Now, whatever it was, it didn't like it is for sure, but it seemed to do something really strange, and that was it wasn't the internet. It wasn't like sketchy. It just like software-wise, it just cut out. And completely just my phone went, just dropped the whole software. So listen everyone, I'm going to have to drive over to the fish house and get my real phone and try to use it. If this cuts out one more time, we're going to postpone till tomorrow. Okay folks, did you catch that? We're going to postpone until tomorrow, and we'll just do it at 8 o'clock tomorrow night as a backup. As a secondary, we'll do the complete our complete walkthrough and everything. But yeah, I just have a feeling there's just too many technological complications going on right here, and it needs to be tested out and everything. And I have a feeling it's just going to knock out one more time. But we'll just go. And the moment it knocks out, everybody, please just tune in tomorrow, and we'll finish. Okay. So what we were doing is we were looking at some of the apistogramma, specifically the red-shouldered gold variety of the pistogramma McMasteri. And we had 2 or 3, this is what happened, 2 or 3 actual fry, maybe 4 or 5. And so we knew the parents were going back down on eggs, right? So we decided to remove the fry, and the fry were inside the cave. So what we did was we took the cave out, and it was a cave with the bottom, and so I lifted the cave and I just shook it out into a container of the water. And as I was shaking it out, suddenly out of the cave came, would you believe it, 2 spawns. One was the few that were from the previous spawn, and a new spawn that had just hatched. And so that's what we were going to look at. Now this new spawn that just hatched was amazing. There were over, how many do you think were in this spawn? Because I took them and I counted them because they were wigglers. They weren't even free swimming yet. So now we're up to 9 people, 10 people. So we're almost got everybody back in line. But if we cut out this time, we're going to postpone until tomorrow night. So if you're wondering what happens, please be ready to reconnect for the continuance tomorrow when I get the technological side of things tested and worked out. But when I shook the container or the cave and it came out with the 4 or 5 larger fry, all these wigglers came flying out as well. How many do you think the McMasteri spawn was? I actually counted them because they were little wigglers. They had little red tummies, and I was able to just spot count them as they were wigglers. Anybody want to take a number? What is an epistogramma McMasteri usually typically have? Spawn-wise, give us a number. 46. Okay, we got 146. You are too low. 40. No good. Got to go up higher. Anybody? 40, more than 40. Can you believe that? More 63, 77. You've just about peaked out. It was 71. So there you go. 63, 70, 71 fry I counted that we pulled out of that. Now the small size. And so that was exciting. But what I'm beginning to see is that many of those fry, even in the wiggler stage, don't make it. And so the spawn, actually, by the time they are free swimming, you're looking at 30 or 40 fry, right? And right now, a week later, I'm only seeing about 25, 30 fry. So, but I know there were 71 because I counted them as they were wigglers on the bottom there. So it kind of makes me wonder if that is not natural, that they would lay a lot more eggs, but only have a decent sized batch. So we'll see if these happen. Now, in the previous batches, this pair produced a batch, and in one of my if I change the camera, is it gonna? I hope it doesn't cut out. But let me tell you what you're gonna see. Then I'll try changing the camera. In the far left breeder box, there's only two. That's from the first actual spawn. Then they went and spawned again, and the ones that were there were kind of like eaten by the adults. And so we knew that the parents are too anxious to get back on eggs and have more babies. And so we decided that we needed to do something on the next time. But we were only able to save two. Then we were able to save like 5 from the next batch before the little group was kind of mowed down by the parents. And now they went on this egg hatch, and it was 71. That tells me that they're having a lot, but very high mortality rate. Very high mortality rate. So this might be interesting information. If we know that they're wigglers, it may be even smart to try to remove them the moment they bring them outside the cave. Suck them up with a small airline hose, you know. But this is nice. Getting a group of 30. I hope I can maintain. They're eating baby brine shrimp now, and it's been a week, and I hope that they will survive, and a good number of them will. It seems like when you only have 2 or 3, it's much harder to raise a batch, much harder for them to survive. I think it's true with angelfish clutch, with everything. When you have just a few, especially rams, just a few, they don't do well. But if you have a very good number, it's not the fact that, oh, you're just playing the numbers game. But what it is, I noticed, is that they feel more comfortable in a group situation. And so what's happening is when there's a larger number, they tend to have a higher survival. In other words, I don't see dead ones on the bottom. And not nearly as many as when there's just a small, tiny group. You see some ones that have perished. But when spawning fish, I think when there's a group, they feel more comfortable. I think that's the reason why, and they do better. So it's just my theory. I don't know how true it is. I don't know if there's anything behind that, but that definitely seems to be what I've noticed in my experience over the years, that larger groups do better. I had a tiger barb hatched a group last week, and there were only about 10 fry. So I moved the 10 fry into a small tubby because there was only 10 fry. I didn't need to have a whole tank for just 10 fry. And after a few days, I only had 1 fry, you know. So maybe the move was part of it, but how can I explain to make and keep green water? Okay. This is a very interesting question because I've had several people buy the green water, and it's right behind me. This is my 2.5 gallon tank, and I don't do anything but a small. I have an airline hose in it, but it just a bubble every second. it's hardly putting out anything. I got it. Yeah, it's just a couple of bubbles. I put in the airline only because I wanted it to break the surface, so there'd be some exchange at the surface. I didn't want no oil film or any type of film. But it looks like in this particular case is already. Now, what I do is I just take the green water, I will drain it and feed the Daphnia and get down to 1 inch of water at the bottom, and just use the green water up. Then I refill it with water that is like behind here in the tank behind me, that or above behind the green water here. There's another bigger tank, 25 gallon, and that one is got water that's aerated. So it's being aerated for 8 hours, and once it's 8 hours of aeration, the chlorine is gone, and so I refill it the tank with that water, and then I add liquid fertilizer. I use this, and I just put 2 or 3 squirts in it and fill it back up. It'll appear much lighter. The concentration of algae in the water, the green water algae, is much lighter, but 3 days later, with the addition of the nutrients, it will just bounce right back. And so that's what I have. So your question is, just found Daphne in my pond, now trying to keep alive inside a 10 gallon. Okay, so yes, well, I have started using both. And so I've got the green water, and I started using I'm going to show you. Let me go get a container right now, and I'll show you exactly how I do it. I've got some spirulina here, and I've got some, and here we have it. So what I do is to prepare. I have some. This is the the kind of yeast that I use is for the bread machines. And there's 2 kinds. One is for bread machines. It's the same brand, but you can buy it for the bread machine, or you can buy it the traditional. And the traditional looks more like pellets, and it doesn't dissolve as easy. But I found the one for the bread machine just dissolves in water very easy. So what I'll do is I'm going to take some water, and I'm going to feed the Daphnia. So let me get some water. The water's on the other side. No, I got these buckets, or not buckets, but containers of water. So this is already the same water. It came out of that 25 gallon aerated water. So here we just put some water in. I have even used tap water for that purpose, but it's such a little amount. And then I take a spoon, and the spoon is not really totally measured out. So yeah, you're using it for your flake yeast. Nutritional flake yeast. Well, I use this one, and I just put like it's like less than 1/8 of a teaspoon of the yeast, and we'll put that in there. And then I put in the spirulina. I've got spirulina here. It's very dark green, and I bought this a long time ago. It's lasted forever. It's it says organic spirulina, but and then I have a little 1/32, and I just put 1 scoop of that in there. Nothing more than that. And I even got it on my finger now. I don't know how that happened, but it's a powder, very super fine powder. So then I stir it up in a container. And the reason I do that is because if you just throw it in the tank with the Daphnia, it tends to, it just chunks up, and it just makes a mess, and it will go to the bottom. It's not really good. So I know some people, if they might even use a bullet mixer or whatever, if they really want to, if you get crazy. But just stirring it up like this for a little bit, you notice it turns green. It's already greenish. That spirulina is strong stuff, good stuff. And Just make sure I don't see any clumps of spirulina or anything. Okay. Now, I'll show you. I have used slightly warm water in the past because that helps a lot in not just the dissolving, but also because it's an active yeast, it tends to kickstart it, as it were. But right now I'm using just room temperature water, so it's like 80 degrees in here. Now, I'm going to try changing the camera. If we drop out, remember, everybody, there's 14 of you connected. Because of the technical difficulties I'm having tonight, we're going to have another live stream tomorrow night. It's sort of a bonus, and I'll advertise at 8 o'clock tomorrow, and we'll continue the discussion on the things that I set out to talk about today. But here we go. So I'm going to show you the down here. Let's just change the camera. There we go. So you'll notice that this tank, it's a 20-gallon. It's got some Daphne in it, and as you can see, what's happened here is the water is starting to clear up. So it's a little too clear. I don't want it so clear, and it means that there's no food, and they'll start dying off. So what I want to really do is I want to feed them when it starts getting clear. Now I'll just pour that green water down the tube, it'll go right into this tank and cloud up the water with green. But I'm also going to right now pour an amount of this solution right in there, and that's what it looks like. So I pour that in there. It looks like a cloud, and because it's such a fine particulate, it will actually not just settle to the bottom, but it will kind of cloud up the water, and that's what I want, because the Daphne are going to filter feed right in the center of the water, and they're going to enjoy the food, and they're going to get spirulina and the yeast. But let's give them some green water. So this is what I'm going to do. We're going to give them some green water. Let me see if I can try putting this back. And we didn't drop out. That's kind of a good sign. So we just back up so you can see. What you can't see here is there is a one down there. I'm going to show you where I pour the water. I pour the water right in here. This is just like a holster. You can't see it from there. Here, try this one, this angle. So there you go. See, so I have this tube. It sits into this little pipe right here. This pipe goes right into the Daphnia tank. So all I need to do is siphon. I'm just going to siphon out from the tank on top, and I'm just going to drain it. Okay. I usually have the end of my hose on that pipe. It's a holster. In case it drips, it just drips right into the Daphnia tank, you see. But because it goes into the Daphnia tank, I'm going to drain it from here into my Daphnia tank. And the way I do that is kind of interesting. Not a problem, Jeff. I really sorry about the technical difficulties we've had so far. And if we knock out, we're going to meet again tomorrow to finish the live stream if we don't finish tonight. So I'm going to get my tube. This is, I usually use this one because of the length and the size and the flexibility. So it's just, I happen to grab this one. This one is the tube I use. So I'm just going to use this one for draining this tank. And I'm going to drain it down to about an inch. trick is doing it so that I don't get water all over the place, but I double check to make sure I can get it into the hole, the clear passage. And there we go. Yeah, I lost a couple drops there, but so if you watch the tank, it's draining down, and it's pouring into our Daphnia tank directly. Our Daphnia tank won't overflow because it has an overflow on it, and the overflow will not allow it to spill. So fresh, clean water like this. Okay, that's it. So I got the end of my. Every couple of times I do this, I will often remove the what here. I'll pour this last little bit. I'll just take the whole tank and pour it into a tubby, and then I can clean out the glass sides. But right now it's not too bad. So it gets algae, and I don't like algae on the sides. But I'm trying the LRB method of not cleaning out the bottom. He calls it the mother of the green water, and that's where it comes from. I don't know how technical that is, but it seems like I'm giving it a try to see if there's any difference. But I've had success even cleaning all the glass, even the bottom, just scraping everything, scrubbing everything down, not just with a scrubby, and then refilling it. So now I'm going to refill. I already have 1 inch in there, and I'm just going to put 3 half squirts. It's supposed to be 1 squirt for 10 gallons. That's a 2.5 gallons. So obviously I'm putting more than I would for regular plants. But now I just pump in the water from the tank above. This 25 gallon up here. This one. It's got the water, and now I just refill it. The coloration is going light. It's going to be a lot lighter than it was when the concentration of the algae was dark green like it was. When you see it dark green like that, it's perfect. It's time to harvest. You don't want it to start turning yellow. That means it's running out of nutrients. And if it starts turning kind of a clearish, yellowish, then that's the time when you do something. You got to add more fertilizer, or it's good to give it a water change too. So there you go. I'm done. So I will leave that like it is for another couple days, and then I will harvest it again. It's a continuous process around here, so this will be good for any particular needs that I have. And that's how I do the green water. What you saw is it. There's not much more to it. Let's take a look at the tank now that we added the green water down below. Now that we siphoned it in there. You'll notice it's definitely greener, but it also has the spirulina and also the yeast that we just added. So it's very clear now. But when it clears, by the time it clears, the Daphnia population will be definitely doubled. Definitely doubled. It'll be like tremendous number going on. So folks, since we're right, I'm bending down here, I just want to make a mention of this tank here. These are where we've been producing the glow light tetras and also the CPDs. I do have some other fish in here. I do have a few Reminos. These Reminos are the ones I have for sale. So they're on the website, or they will be. I guess if they're not, they're going to be. And yeah, we sell. These are good Reminos. These are not the kind that just arrived from Indonesia. These are the kind that have arrived quarantined, and they've even been well fed and made into a a much better fish. So when you get fish like this, they are quality fish. Now, this tank, as you can see here, this was our contraption that we used for getting CPDs, and it stopped producing. I think it's because several things. One is the tank has lost some of its moss. It maybe grown so much that it overflowed, and I've got to do something about that. So I've got to remove this moss so that they only will spawn inside the trap. I also see a lot of muck at the bottom that's got to be cleaned out. Has to be cleaned out. So there's a little work here. But I also we're going to do some little adjustments on the breeding of these fish, and I'm even considering converting this 20-gallon into something else, maybe for plecos, something different. And that might be a better use of a 20-gallon, because you can breed the CPDs in a 10-gallon very easily using this method. And or even this 5-gallon right here. If I just put the box on the outside right here, it connects, and I might be able to use a 5.5-gallon. Right now, these are set up for breeding, and there's nothing in them yet. Tonight I plan on putting some pairs, and what I've decided to do is put in some pentazonas again. I really want to get one more batch. Our previous batch is doing very well, and they're getting big. They're looking good. Here in the back, you see them running around. They're kind of a shy fish, very peaceful fish. They're not a tiger barb. They are hexazona or pentazonas, but in a group, they really look nice, and they do very well. So I would like to get another group like that coming up. Maybe some tiger barbs. We might try to get some more green tiger barbs. The other one, the last batch we have, are already over at the grow out house, at the fish house where they're growing out. And that's basically it. Got a couple of tanks. This one is, whenever I see this, I immediately think, oh, a dead fish. I always see that, and I see a dead fish. Something got chewed up and eaten, right? That's when you see something like that, you immediately think that, but that's not what that is. That is a piece of zucchini or cucumber. I think it was cucumber, the last one I put in there. So when it gets to, I put the metal rod in to keep it weighed down, and they eat away. But when pieces get loose, like this piece of cucumber, it's the fleshy part of the cucumber, and it just floats. And of course, nothing's holding it down. But these long-finned bushy nose are looking really good. Also, I've got a few long-finned rosies. We've got quite a number of them growing, and we're going to be harvesting. And maybe that's what I should do, is do a maybe I should do that, a live stream from where we're going to be taking out the rosies in a I think it's a 50-gallon acrylic tank we have in the backyard. And I need to do some sorting, so maybe I'll show you all that great stuff. So yeah, Greg Jones has the best on the red or black worms. He has the best system. I don't have the system like he does, but I do have a few. I'm trying this system. It's sort of mimicking his, but it's not nearly as nice. He's got a nice pump that keeps the water super fresh. I'll turn on the light so you can see. They don't like lights, so I don't usually keep a light. But there are blackworms in this particular tank, and I'm trying to figure out a way to propagate them. I need to remove a lot of that mulm. It's just way too much. And there's food. I also watched another video earlier this week, and they're feeding them spirulina. So I'm going to go ahead and try putting some spirulina in there too. Since I have it available, I may as well try it and see if that doesn't help the blackworm production here. But one of these days, I think water changes is important, and this is a tank that has the overflow in the back, that white PVC and the bridge. And so what we do is I overflow by just draining water and letting it slowly trickle in, and it will trickle overflow as well. So it trickles in and trickles overflow. So let me show you how I do that. I'm going to show you how simple it is for me to give an actual water change to the blackworms. I'm just going to take this container of water. I'm going to put it in here, fill it up 1 liter's worth. Done. And now it's getting a liter of water change. That's it. So water is now coming out here, going down through this tube, and then up and over, and there it is, coming out right there. That's how I do it because that's all I have. I don't have space for the Greg Jones method, but I highly recommend his method for doing it. He's doing it right. I don't have space. One day, maybe if I had the space to set up a black worm culturing, then that's what I would do. Now, coming back to, before we drop out, try it one more time. Take a quick look at these this batch of apistogrammas. They're doing super well. They're, as you can see, I'm ready to feed them some more baby brine shrimp right now. But their tummies are still pink and full, so I'm not too worried. They're not like, yeah, I see them not as hungry. I think they're doing well. Now, I've also learned to not feed quite as much. Here's the older two that I said from the very first batch. These are red-shouldered golds, and they are gorgeous when they're just gorgeous when they're fully colored. Here is the next batch that we were trying to get out. They're very high. There's only about 4 or 5 now left in this batch. They're hiding in here within the subwasser tank. So I don't know, but I'm really looking forward to keeping these going in a group. And hi, Lumpy Dog, and everybody else who's joined us. It's great to have more people tonight. Thank you, and thank you for the thumbs up. Oh, while we're here, I'll show you these are the CPDs that we've raised in that contraption we were just looking at. And so I just sold, I think I sold 8 of those today. And so I'm selling them right now, 8 for $40. And then here we have a couple of Pracox rainbows with some more Danios. And then, of course, over here, more CPDs with, and you'll notice some glow light Danios in here too. This is where most of the glow light Danios are at, the ones that have been raised from that contraption. And again, more longfin rosy barbs. Now, what I'm finding is I'm going to be using these young longfin rosy barbs as ditherfish. Rosy barbs for me have never attacked anything else. Oh, and these fish are ready to go into those tanks up above, aren't they? They're getting big. And I don't know if I have any, but there might be even a fork-tail rainbow in there. I do have 1 pair of fork-tail rainbows, and so the eggs get mixed in with the luminatus, so those might be, I don't see them as luminatus, but if we look at the parents down here, there's the female. I do have a female and a male in this tank. There's the male. So in the corner, doing his thing, he's showing off. There he goes. Yeah. And see what's happening there. Okay, something's not quite right with this breeder box. The fish are at the surface. So when you see something like that, usually it's clogged or something not right. Let me try adding some more. Here, yeah, it's clogged. It's going to have to be cleaned out. Yeah. So also water level can make a difference. So I'll have to pay attention to that in the next few minutes. So here, these are in here. There's some Apistogramma pandurinis. There's one in the back there. There should be a good half dozen or more in here. The Apistogrammas I find are a lot more timid, and I like the subwasser ting just to give them something to hide about. We got Super Red and Citrus with the cucumber. There they are going to town. They're making good progress. I also feed some pellets, some small pellets. All right, so I hope that answers the questions. Did I catch up on everything? Let me see. Thank you very much. Let me see if there's a question or two I missed. You enjoy reading notes on the tanks. How do you get 720 ppm in low pH? 720 ppm? Is that what is over there? Did you read that? Oh yes. Ah, okay. I know exactly. Now, that is interesting because that particular breeder box is full of the apistos. Now, when we shook out the water, when we shook out the baby apistos into the tubby, and I brought them over here from where the parents are. The parents are at the fish grow out. That's where they're located. They're not located here. The red shoulders are not here. I have the panderinis here, but the other fish are at the other location. So I brought it over. So I threw the water into the breeder box, but before I filled it up with my tap water, I wanted to know what was that water that they bred in. Also, I want to know if we have a lot of males, females, so forth. So I always take measurements at the time of the spawn, or in other words, right around the time of the spawn, right? So when we get the spawn, we get the babies out. I like to make sure, and those numbers on the tank represent what it was at the time that they were spawned. Because down the road, I'm going to say, oh, I've got all males and 2 females out of the whole lot. I'm going to say, well, what were the water parameters at the time? That's going to be what I'm going to be interested in. So that's why it's recorded there. That water came from the other house, so I'm not sure why the ppm was so high. I do know that tank had been left alone and hardly got a water change for a very long time. But as you can see, the pH was quite low, and so, but definitely not as low as the pH I had for the panderinis. The panderinis, I think, at the time, I don't have it on the tank anymore. But interestingly, these panderinis, this batch was spawned under very low pH conditions. And I'm looking at the fish right now, and I can almost sex them. If you look closely, you'll see where the black smudge is on the side of the fish. Some of them don't have it, but some of them do. If it's in the center of the fish, like see that one right there in the center, he's out of focus. Okay, see it kind of in the center? If the black spot is in the center, I'm going to guess it's going to be a male. That's just what my experience has been. But look at the one over here. It's got a black smudge near the belly area, like this one right there. Look at that one, right in the center. That one I think might be a female. See how the smudge is towards the bottom of the torso, right there, closer to the underside. So that's probably a female. So I'm almost looking at these and I'm saying, okay. And yeah, your point, Roman, is that you can get lower pH by lowering the ppm, in other words, using RO water. But once you do that, the ppm might rise for a different number of reasons. My feeling, if I were to guess, now I haven't talked to Malik, who is doing the feeding and caring for the fish, But I also know he tends to be a little loose when it comes to feeding his baby brine shrimp. I think he's been throwing in that tank baby brine shrimp that keep contributing a little bit of salt after each feeding. A little bit of salt. A little bit of salt because they're in salt water. And if you don't do water changes, the ppm will definitely go up based on the salinity. But the salinity isn't going to change the pH. So without knowing really what is the cause of the ppm, or the parts per million of particles in the water, you don't really have a good feel as to what's going to cause the pH to rise or fall. That's why, it's sort of out of my hands as to know why on earth it could be 720. In fact, just our tap water is like 180. So how did it get up to 720? I can only assume is because a continued little pinch of salt keeps getting added. So still water. I bred pistos once at 1,000 TDS accidentally, but didn't check the pH. I was surprised. I'd always thought that low TDS to breed them. Now, you don't need low TDS to breed them. But the question is, will they, depending on the species, will it be affecting the sex ratio of the results you might get? There is a page in the cichlid book by Bench, cichlid book, that I don't know if it's page 146. I forget which page it is now. I had this discussion a few weeks back. It's been a few weeks. But there's a chart in there showing the effects of pH with sex ratio in various apistogrammas. Unfortunately, the Pandarini is not listed, but there's a list of about, I don't know how many different apistos that they have data on, and showing that, the pH does affect the sex ratio. So these are things I'm trying to keep track of for the Pandarini, because without data being out there, I'll be able to post and share that information in the long run for people who might be interested. Maybe on a fact sheet. So when people buy a pair of Pandarinis from me, I can include that kind of specialized data or what my findings have been. And that's what I want anyway down the road, is to have that information available, because I like to share the information. I'm not trying to I'll never keep secrets here, because I want everybody to enjoy their fish and so forth. That's my guess about the high ppm in that particular case. But normally, like for example, right behind me, these tanks are set up for breeding. This one, if you measure it right now, it's 6.3 pH and 20 ppm. 20. This one's 6.2 and 10. So my RO water, after it goes through, so regular 7.4, 7.6 pH out of the tap, once it goes through the RO machine, it comes out and always drops down below 7. And in this case, 6.3, 6.2. And that one over there, 6.4. So that's something that it does. The process just lowers the pH. So you're right, Roman. Yes, that's how you can lower the pH. That's one way of doing it. Now, discus breeders the specialists, I should say, of many discus breeders will use muriatic acid and other types of acid to do one thing: lower pH for their discus. And these are, very highly controlled. It's not recommended, but I know Mr. Bob Wilson did it. He and others I know do use acid to lower the pH in their systems. You have to be very careful, because there can be some incredible amounts of pH swing if you use it in that way, or use acid in that way. So it's not necessarily a good thing. However, it is a way of doing it. And so that's, another method. Now, what I did to get the super low pH over here was, now right behind me, I'm just going to do barbs. I don't need to get the peat out. 6.2 and 6.3 is perfect. Fine, below 7. But in the case of the Panderinis, what I've done is I've set up several pairs up above in the penthouse tanks, and they are actually tanks that I've taken the filter. This one right behind me, you see it. You can see it in the picture. This one right here. It's actually filtering peat. There it is right there. And so using the super peat by, I think, what was it, Sarah, or I forget the brand, and it's that will drop it and keep dropping. It'll go down to 4.3, and that's what these Panderinis were spawned at, 4.3, 4.4. But I've noticed that once it hits 4.4, it stops, and it will not drop below that. It's just one of the miracle things about peat. I don't know why that is, but it was Malik that told me that, and I listened to what he said. But when I did it myself and saw how it worked, I was like amazed. He was absolutely right. Using the super peat, it'll drop it down to 4.4 and then stop. Even if you just continually do it, it won't go lower than that. Don't know why. Some of the mysteries. I could do more investigation, but there's so much to do in a fish room, so many things to follow up on. And just FYI, the Panderinis we saw in the breeder box here, the ones I said that were hiding and so forth. Now there was a reason why I had to remove them, and basically it was that the female, she developed a issue with her eyeball. Let's see if she's still here. There she goes. She just went into her cave. Okay, so her eye started bulging. So I took out the babies and I took the male. I want to save her because it looked like a bacterial infection, and if I did nothing, it would eventually go. Now I see that she hasn't been eating a whole lot because I put Daphne in there a week ago, and the Daphne is still in there. But you can see the Daphne. I see one floating around. So she's eating sparingly, but we decided to go with a antibiotic treatment. But I will say this: bacterial infections can also be handled, especially if you catch it right away, and you feel like your fish could benefit from. Oh, she's coming out. She's doing much better. And you see that little Daphne right around her? Yeah. Yeah, that's not Fry. That's Daphne. Anyway, it's her right eye. It was really bulging bad. It looks like it's still sticking out. Yeah. She might even lose it. I'm going to do a water change tonight, put another treatment in, let her sit for another number of days. I darkened the tank. But as you can see, that's something. Now, the other thing you can do is salt. So it's one of the best things you can do. I had a friend who called me up and said, Mike, what do you do? What do you do? I got this, he's got his, he had his, what do you call his flower horn cichlid laying on the bottom of the tank. He had a community tank with a bunch of African cichlids, but he has this flower horn on there, and it was laying on the bottom. And I told him, I says, here's what you can do, because it's probably bacterial. Pull him out, put him in a separate tank, and put a filter on there, whatever, if you need to, whatever. I says, but give him 1 to 3 gallons, 1 tablespoon per 3 gallons, and let's see in 3 to 5 days. Let's see how he does. And he called me about 5 days later, and he says, "You have no idea, Mike." He says, "The fish has bounced back. It has got colors, and it just looks awesome." And so I'm like, great, it needed a salt treatment, and that's the cheapest way and the best way to handle it, and the fish can handle it just fine. And yeah, so this female here, she's not quite as yellow as this one. This one over here is gorgeous. This is the one I think she was on eggs. I think she had a clutch, but I haven't seen any babies. But I haven't gone stirring up in there either. They might even have babies out there right now. If they do, we'll see them right now. But with her out and about, they may not have panned out. But look at that black splotch, And the male doesn't have any spot at all as he gets older, but just kind of a faint one in the body, center of the body. You can see the difference between a male and a female of these fish. Wow. And here's the extra male. I think the extra male's over here. There he is, back behind the guppy grass. Here's a male. He's the one that was with the female with the eye issue. I thought that the male maybe attacked the female and maybe got the eye kind of damaged. I was thinking that might be the reason, but I'll just let her heal up. We got enough pairs going here. The original pair number 1, is not up here. It's down in the 10 gallons. But this pair here, she's hanging out in the corner. If she does have fry over there, we'll be seeing them in the next few weeks. Next week or so, next few days. But what a gorgeous fish. Colors are just amazing. The displays are nice. She's acting like get away. Usually, from watching the behavior of pair number 1 when they have their babies, she'll protect the babies and keep him away from them, and he'll just patrol the area from other fish. Like he's like the guy on the patrol, but she's the one that actually stays very close to the fry. But this, I used, did I use Pete on this? 5.5, I got it down to 5.5 and 40, and that's what it is. So I'm just kind of doing different setups. This one's 0.7 with 70. If they do have fry, I'll be interested in knowing at this higher pH, what is the ratio of the sexes. Now, what I'm aiming for is not more of one of the sex. I'm aiming for the pH that's going to give me pairs, equal number of males and females. So she went in. So she's been going in and out of this cave. So I have a feeling that there might be something in there. Definitely watching out for them. But it's kind of exciting to see such a beauty, she's all green, yellow, bright yellow in her coloration. She's in good condition. Especially those ventral fins, they have black on them. That's a way to indicate a female, because the males never get black on the ventral fins or the pectoral fins. Let's look at those babies again. We were just looking at them a minute ago. Let's just take another look. Look at the ventral fins. Here we go. I don't think we're going to see any with black on them, because I don't think there's any color at all yet on those fins. But it's exciting to see. I start to see some blues and pinks around the gills. But yes, definitely, salt can be a wonderful, wonderful treatment because it's so easy to use. You just remember that, you know, it doesn't evaporate. So once you put like the concentration of salt, if you put 3 tablespoons of salt in your tank, you have 3 tablespoons of salt in your tank. If after 3 to 5 days they don't seem to respond, you can add more salt and make the concentration 1 to 1. For a time you can get desperate, you can use 1 tablespoon per gallon, and the fish will survive just fine. Plants don't do so well, so whether you have live plants or not is also a very important thing. And just remember, you already put 3 tablespoons, so if you're not going to do a water change, then the additional tablespoons are going to just add to the 3 you put in. But if you, let's say for example, you did a 50% water change, how much salt would you have in the tank? Well, if you put 3 in, you have 1.5. Take out 50% of water, you have 1.5 tablespoons of salt in your tank. And then using that based on how many you want to add, you can just add 7.5 more or 8.5 more, I guess, and you'll get 10 for a total of 10. This is a 10 gallon I'm looking at, that's why I guess I'm saying, but well, like in this case of this 10 gallon, if I was to salt this 10 gallon at 1 to 3, it's I would put 3 tablespoons to begin with, because that would be 3 gallons is 3, 6, and 9, so that's a total of 3 tablespoons to get up to 9 gallons, and maybe 1/3 of a tablespoon more for the 10th gallon. Of course, there is some objects and things in the tank. Yeah, they are looking great. I do appreciate that. I've had one fella who keeps trying to buy these from me, and he wants them now, and I'm telling him, no, I don't want to sell them now, and I want to know what sex they are. I want to be sure to record that information. Then once I know their sex, I'm not going to hold them until they're mature. I just want to hold them until I can sex them, and then I can say, this is what it is. If I give them to him and say, oh, here's 6 of them, and you take them and just tell me what the sex are when you grow them up. Well, several things can happen. One is he might kill them all. He might kill a few, and then we won't know, right? So then we run that risk. But as with all statisticians, the more count you have, in other words, the more, I guess what it is you have more numbers to look at, it becomes more accurate. Like, for example, I don't know how many's in here. I think there's around 40, but if I had 100 in here and I got 60 males and 40 females, that's a 60-40 ratio, right? 6 to 4 or 3 to 2. So, but if I only had 3 fish in here, 2 were males and 1 was female, all I can say is that 66-33? You know, if I only had 3, but it wouldn't be a good sample. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, like these little guys. So here's our pentazonas. The males are looking good, and they did well last time. This is sort of a holding tank conditioning. I've got 1 spare male Pandarini. I've got 3 female rams and 1 female subocellatus in the back there, and a couple of tiger barbs. So here we have these guys, and I am one day soon gonna do what I can to see about breeding some tetras. Yeah, Roman, that's kind of the point. Do you still have those male thread fins, because I have 3 females now, and I've lost a couple, but I have 3 females, and I'd like to see if I can breed them again. But I think what I need to do is dedicate a tank to them. That is what is the important thing. They can't be mixed with other fish. I wasn't mixing them before when I had success breeding them, and I think mixing with other fish is a no-no. But anyway, these hockey stick tetras are looking so good. I can't quite tell the males and females yet because I don't see any bulging bellies. But I'll tell you this, the color, you can't see it on the phone, but there's some color in here along the back, all the way from the dorsal fin to the tail. You see it? There's a stripe that I never saw in the young ones, but it's come out on all of them as adults, and they have this kind of a copper colored glowing light also. Okay, Roman, I will do. Just if I can remember, I'll do that. So yeah, look at that. Look at these guys. They're cute. As with most tetras, though, they have this tendency to set up hierarchies, and sometimes they can be a little sometimes I find tetras can be a little aggressive to one another. So shall we go fishing? To conclude our live stream tonight, everybody seems to be gotten tired. It's kind of late because it's later than usual. Let's go fishing and see if we got any fry. I don't expect any, only because I haven't seen any in the last few nights. Let's see if we got any fry in the traps. We're gonna see if these catfish are, if they've been a little frisky. Let's find out. So I'm going to pull out this is the cave. See the hole? That's the hole. And then we're going to pull it out. Temperature is 79. I'm trying to keep it cooler. Let's pull it out the water. And we're going to just dump the water quickly and take a look. Nothing. Yeah. That's like regular fishing. Sometimes you get something, sometimes you don't. So, but if we did, it's always a good thing. Now, what some have said is they're saying that these fish breed around the time of the full moon, and that's going to be on the 21st of this month. So as you can see here, in June we had spawns. Can you see it? It's written here, 4th, 20th, and 24th. So 3 times in June, and the 15th, 17th, and 20th also in May. So it seems like so far they've been following a schedule, and it's going to be around the full moon around each month. So May and June were like that, and so we'll see if July is no different. So there you go. So thank you everyone for joining. I hope I had a chance to answer all the questions. Is there anything else? Then only one fish for me last Sunday. Oh, did I catch all the questions? Thank you so much for joining tonight. There's a good 20 of you on there and 20 thumbs up, so I can't complain. And wow, wonderful. Yes, appreciate everyone joining tonight. If you're new, I saw some new names. Thank you for saying hello or chiming in, and it's been wonderful to be with you. And of course, everything I say is just basically my opinion, and of course that's all you can ever expect from anyone, is when you listen and you hear things from people, it's their opinion based on their experience, and leave it at that. You can take it or leave it. And sometimes it's good to realize that it's not always good under all circumstances to follow the exact same thing, because there's differences. For example, what I said tonight about salt. You got to be careful, because do your research. You can't just use it with all fish. Some fish are sensitive to salt, and especially scaleless. And also there's, depending on the circumstances of what the problem could be, sometimes I like to guess that it's the easiest first and that salt will help, because even if it isn't curable with the salt does produce a type of mucus. And there was an individual this week who purchased a single discus. He got it home, and I hadn't noticed, and the complaint was that it had bite marks on it. But I think the angelfish in the tank were probably giving it a little bully. So what was my recommendation? My recommendation is whenever you move fish, especially when fish are netted, and you move them from tank to tank, then they may lose their mucus. Salt treatment is one, and also a product called I'm staring at it. I just can't read it. I don't have my glasses. It's right here. Melafix. That's it. Melafix. Yeah. This is my go-to product, Melafix by API. And the reason why is because it's very safe for almost all fish. It's got melaleuca oil, in other words, tea tree oil. It is basically, you can repeat it, but I've used it with small fish, fry, adults. And what does it do? Well, it coats the skin and causes the fish skin to have that layer of mucus that's so necessary. And if there's a scratch, a missing scale, this stuff really helps heal. So it's a healing agent, and it's natural. So you can get it in Canada without any issues. You can just order it on Amazon. Melafix. There's also an antibacterial product that API puts out called Pimafix. I don't know about its availability, but Pimafix has some very similar properties. So that's the suggestions I have. And we're about leaving, and oh, hello everyone. Finally you show up, huh? Mayor is with us in the house. How are your black rams doing? That's what I want to know. You got some black rams, and if you got any fry, I hope you do. Any good things to mention? Well, maybe he was just passing through. Thank you for joining us tonight, everyone, and I do appreciate the memberships. And I'm going to my next video that will be published. I'm pretty sure it'll be next week because I need to get to it this week. You're on vacation. Okay. Well, when you get those black rams going, and let us know. Let us know. Tell us how they're doing and what success you've had. I've got some black rams. Actually, I picked some up today. They're over here in a bucket. I have to put them. That's what I gotta sign off so I can get them into a breeder box and get them going. So have a good night, everyone, and thank you for joining us here at FishEZ. And it's been a wonderful Friday night, and I'm glad that finally the technological side of things has helped, and we can certainly do something better. So thank you, and have a good one. Ciao, and whatever you do this weekend, enjoy your fish, have a good time with them, and keep it real. Thank you, Mayor. And wow, super chat. That is the good night for everyone. In fact, I'm going to, can I just heart that? Yeah. Thank you, Mayor. That was so kind of you. That was a great super chat. Just before I was clicking the button. What would happen if I had clicked the button too soon, right? Yep. thank you again, and we'll be in touch. I want to hear about the Rams, and I want to know about what's going on with those for you and everybody. Andy Carson, thank you for joining us tonight, and everybody who's just chiming in now. Please keep it real.